Hey everybody, Paul Turner here from the discipleproject.net here with a different kind of background here. I'm actually here at work working on a Saturday here in the warehouse, and I thought, man, I got a little extra time here, so I want to make a video for you on 6 ways you can make camp discipline easier. If you're going to camp this summer, fantastic. I'm glad that you're going to get to go. If you're not able to go, well, then I am terribly sorry that you're not able to go. But for those that are going to go, I want to share with you 6 practices that are going to make your camp discipline a lot easier. So, number 1, how do you like my slides right here? Number 1, but you got to use what you got. When you work in a warehouse, you got to do that, right? Number 1, it's okay to say no. What does that mean? Well, you might have kids that if you took them to camp, they're not ready for camp. It's either because they're too young, by age, maybe they're a very young middle schooler, they're not really going to be able to adapt to camp life, or because maybe they're very young spiritually and they really don't know, what camp's about or how they're going to, adapt to camp, or maybe they just have a history of really having some major problems that you think if you brought them, it could affect the dynamics of camp, right? So it's okay. Number 1, it's okay to tell a kid they're not ready yet. You're not just telling them outright no. This is, by the way, is not an excuse to tell kids no that you don't like. This is a real reason to say, if you're young in the Lord or you're young maybe physically, it may not be your year. Parents aren't going to like to hear that, but this is going to be an effective practice, at least something I've done where I've told somebody, listen, maybe next year proved to be a good and wise idea. Number 2, make sure your standards are clear. Make sure they're clear. So I've had my kids in the past sign a camp covenant. You said, well, Paul, that's just a piece of paper. Well, a lot of things are a piece of paper. You have a piece of paper at work that gives you various standards. I have a piece of paper that I looked at and signed off on that says I've read and understand. It's the same thing. You just have a clear document by which to work with. And if you're interested, I have a camp covenant that you can sign up. If you sign up for my youth ministry newsletter, the Youth Ministry Roundup, I'll put a link down in the description below. Sign up for that. You're going to get this for free. So if you're interested in that, but you need to make this clear to students, to campers, to your pastor. To parents. You need to make this clear to them because that's the document you're operating off of. If you have to send a kid home, or they've already read it, they've signed off on it, and your pastor knows, what you're going by as well. It's not just random. You can be able to do that. And if you have a clear document, you need to teach your kids this and go over it with them, maybe the Wednesday before camp, and maybe with your parents on Sunday, the Sunday before camp, and say, look, make sure that you have signed this, both you and your student have signed this. Nobody gets on the bus without it, okay? Number 3, if I can change my slides. Number 3, assign discipline to somebody else. Listen, I know you're the youth pastor, but you don't have to do every little bit of discipline. You can have a girl counselor and a guy counselor each do discipline. They're in charge of discipline. I'm not talking about major discipline. I'm talking about the minor infractions, not showing up on time. Those things that you as a pastor don't have to necessarily put everything into it. Now, listen, if there's major discipline that needs to happen, that's why you get paid the big bucks, right? That's the big bucks there. You have to take care of that discipline. If it goes from that person, the person you assign to you, that's going to be an issue. But there's no reason for you to deal with every single little detail. This is a practice that if you assign a girl to handle girl problems and a guy to handle guy problems, it's just going to make life easier for you. And you know that if it gets through them and comes to you, it's a serious, serious problem. Number 4, right here, this is important. Let parents talk to their kids. Let parents talk to their kids. Why? Well, if they have an infraction, whatever your rule is for this, these kids talk to their parents. That's the thing. If it gets past the 2, 3, 4 warnings, right? Say, look, we're having an issue here. Why? Because if you let parents talk to kids, number 1, you're saying, look, I really want your kids to stay. I want them to be a part of this camp, but I need you to talk to them. The other part of that is you can ask that parent and say, parents, what is the best way to deal with your child? Maybe you don't know this kid very well. And you say, look, what's the best approach when dealing with him? What do you say or what do you do? And you're helping and you're following along with this parent's way of doing things, and it just shows that you care. It shows that you're caring about this kid. So don't think that it's like, oh, it's a big problem and whatever. No. It's really revealing. It's an opportunity to connect with the parent and say, hey, how do I deal with this with your child? I'm just making an observation, but I think you know better than I do because you're their parent. By the way, if you are interested in more of these in depth, I'm going to put a link down below to my podcast where I take a full 20 minutes to kind of go over all these things. So if you're looking for a little bit deeper dive, you can do that. Number 5, okay? Number 5, don't break your own rules. Real simple. If you made a rule in your camp for no pranks, that means no pranks. That means no pranks for your kids. That means you don't get to go pull pranks, neither do your adult leaders. If you break your own rules, you are saying that the document that you've created is invalid. You're saying it's okay for you to do it, nobody else to do it, and that's a double standard. Don't create double standards within your camp because your kids will take advantage of that, okay? And finally, number 6, don't be afraid to send a kid home. Why? Because if it's serious enough, they are changing the dynamics of your camp. And I'm talking about, this is for like, it has to be so egregious, right? After you have to build, by the way, you have to build a case, right? Build a thing that says, look, if you got to send a kid home, you've done 5 warnings. They've seen your discipline person. They've come to you. You've prayed with them. You have taken every measure to keep this kid at camp. But now it's reached a point where it's just, you can't do it. So if you have to build that up, though, you can't just send a kid home because you don't like the kid or whatever it may be. Make sure that if you do send a kid home, that it's redemptive. This kid's going home, but that doesn't mean he can't go to camp or come back to youth group or any of those things. Make sure it's a redemptive practice. I sent a kid home one time and something powerful happened. A bunch of the kids gathered around that young man and prayed for him. And they prayed for him and they sent him off. Even though it was a sad moment, it was redemptive because he knew he could come back next year. It was open door to him, and that it wasn't awkward, that he couldn't come back to youth group or something like that. So make sure it's redemptive. Well, guys, that is it. Those are my 6 practices. They're going to help make your camp discipline a little bit better this year. It's going to make it a little bit easier for you, I hope. And by the way, if you are brand new to the channel, thank you so much for hanging out, being a part of the video today. Be sure to click that subscribe button and you'll get videos like this in your inbox on a regular basis. If you're a regular, thank you so much. I appreciate you being a part of this channel. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Let me know you like the video and you want more of them. And leave me a comment down below. What are some of the issues that you deal with at camp that maybe I can make a video on? I would love to do that so that it will make your camp a little bit easier for you. So that's it for today, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.